Hey, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Keisha and Leesa. Or maybe this is afternoon and you're watching it on the replay or on YouTube. We welcome you.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Today, hold on a second. Let's we're gonna do something a little bit different today. She's going to access the comments so that there we go. She's going to access the comments so that we can see what you're saying very clearly. And so, hey, Pastor Michael just walked in. So we want to hear from you. We want you to comment. We want you to like. We want you to share. We want to communicate with you. Hey, good morning, Dana. So today, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. I'm going to move this a little bit. All week, I kept hearing eyes that see and ears that hear. Eyes that see and ears that hear. And all week I've had a migraine, so it took me some time to really get this all together. And God, I think, has given me a word for you guys today, and I'm really excited to share it with you.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, good morning. We want to hear from you, so comment, talk to us.
Ask questions.
Yeah, ask questions. Let us know that this is something that is speaking to you. So first, what I want to do is I want to tell you like a little bit of story, a little bit about me. It's a little personal. I don't think I've ever shared this publicly. I've been kind of quiet about it, actually. But about 2 years ago, I got diagnosed with diabetes. And it took me a while to figure out exactly what was going on in my body. All of a sudden, I couldn't see anymore. And I could see maybe one day one way, and then the next day I would see totally different. Mm-hmm. So I would be in the back. I work at my church, for those that don't know. I'm in the sound booth, and all of a sudden we're live. And I'm looking at my computer, and I turned to look at the stage, and I could not see anything. Everything was blurry. The next time I sat down in my booth and I looked, I could see the stage, but I couldn't see my computer. I couldn't see what was right in front of me. Right. And I was literally like this, like with my glasses, like, oh my gosh, I can't see.
Right.
Because I had my glasses prior to the diabetes. And so I started developing a lot of pain in my eyes. My eyes were strained. They were hurting. I was panicking. Could you imagine, like, all of a sudden, one day you see and then the next day you can't see, and my glasses weren't working. So it totally affected my entire life. Hey, that's my new cousin.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, she's from Phoenix,
Yay.
Arizona.
Which
Welcome.
is a major praise.
And actually,
Thank you, Lord.
I've got to talk to you because I've got some information to share with you. I've been meaning to do that all week. As you think you're going to be excited about it. So anyway, so what I'm talking about is my story, my personal story, and I feel like God is going to reveal a few things to all of us. Yes. So the first thing I want to do is I want to read out of Ruth 1, verse 19 through 21. Okay, so I hope you have your Bibles or jot down this scripture and join with me. So the two of them continued on their journey, and when they came to Bethlehem, the entire town was excited by their arrival. "Is it really Naomi?" the woman asked. "Don't call me Naomi," she responded. "Instead, call me Mara, for the Almighty has made life very bitter for me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me home empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has caused me to suffer and the Almighty has sent such tragedy upon me?" Now, I don't know if you know the story about Ruth and Naomi. Raise your hand, give me a little emoji. Do you know the story about Ruth and Naomi?
Yes.
Naomi, I love this story. Yes.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite. I love Ruth, I love Esther. And we're going to do one on Esther soon. But they were living in Jerusalem, and they left. They went to the to idol worship territory because they thought that that's what they needed to do. So they went as a family, and then their sons ended up growing up. They get married to people that were not of their belief system. So this is important because God had told them not to marry people outside of their faith.
Right.
And so they did. So anyway, everybody dies, and so now they're coming back home. So she's going through this process of coming back home, and she feels like God has done this to her.
Yes.
And
she's angry with God
Yeah,
right now.
she's
like,
angry
He
with
caused
him.
all this misfortune on me.
Yeah.
He's caused all of this.
And so she wants to do a name change.
Yes.
Her name was Naomi, and now she wants to be called Mara, which, you know, it's bitter. It means bitter. And so all of this bitterness, all of this resentment in her life has taken her to this place where she's blaming God for the circumstances that she caused.
Yes.
And so her sight is a little bit jaded. What she's seeing isn't really what has happened.
No.
And the thing is, because of all of the negativity, because of all of the strife, because of all of the hardship, because of all of the death,
Yes.
it has caused her to not see God's hand in her life. Because
Right.
even though she left, God was still there.
Yes.
God is still there for
Always.
you. And He's allowed her to come back home.
Yes.
And He's allowed her to come back home with her daughter-in-law. So she's not alone,
Right.
but she feels like she is.
Yes.
And she's coming back home to these people. And listen, the people that knew her, they were like, is this really Naomi? Like, is this her?
Yes.
Like, they're trying to see if they can recognize her.
So how many of you guys can attest to this already?
Yeah.
Like,
Right?
give me a wave, give me a shout. Let us know that you guys can already, put yourself in this position.
So, I told you, like, I was diagnosed with diabetes. It affected my eyesight. I've been having trouble. I'm having trouble seeing things clearly. And then on top of it, all week I've had this migraine. And when you have a migraine, you just want to be in the dark.
Yes.
And when you're in the dark place, that bright light, it hurts your eyes.
Yes.
You're in the dark and you're stumbling, and you just are in so much pain, and you can't think clearly.
No.
And everything you do
don't
is
wanna
slow.
think.
No. But I had to come to work, and so I was slow. I just wasn't myself. And sometimes, either with when my sugar is off, or when I have a migraine, I go into sensory overload. And a lot of times people will say, oh, hey, I saw you, or even here in the lobby of the church, I'm walking by and people are talking to me, and I can't see who they are. Like, I see the person, but I can't focus. And so I'm trying to get from point A to point B, and I'm trying to concentrate, and it makes me feel sick. It literally makes me feel sick. All the motion, all the commotion, it wears me out. And it's hard to focus on the details because I'm just trying to get from point A to point B. And
Thank you for that comment.
Yes.
She says bitter season, been there. No
Yeah.
more. That's right.
That's
no more.
right. We are
Praise
not
the Lord.
Mara. We are not Mara.
Yes.
And that's the kind of place that Mara has found herself in. She's just trying to get from point A to point B. She's not looking at the details. She's not focusing on what God has already done in her life.
Right.
She is bitter. And bitterness will jade your sight.
Yes, because the enemy blinds us. Well, he wants to blind us from the things. He wants us to be in this situation that Naomi, Mara was in.
Yeah.
He wants us to think that, if we are blinded and we can't see what God's doing in our life, that we're not going to look to the Lord.
Right. That's exactly right. And sometimes it's not just looking at the Lord properly.
Yes.
But what about the people that are in our life that have hurt us?
Yes.
Sometimes we see the things that they do and we focus on that, but we don't see the inside.
Right.
We don't see the bitterness and the root of it. Why are they so bitter? What has caused them to be so selfish, to be so bitter, to be so angry, to be unloving and irresponsible? Like, there's a reason why, and it's because their eyes can't see and their ears can't hear.
Yes.
So I want to take you now to Deuteronomy 29, verse 2 through 4. Now we're going to be talking about the Israelites. Moses summoned all of the Israelites and said to them, you have seen with your own eyes everything the Lord did in the lands of Egypt to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to the whole country. You've seen it. Like you were there and you saw it.
Yes.
All the great tests of, all the great tests of strength, the miraculous signs, and the amazing wonders. But to this day, the Lord has not given your minds that understand, nor eyes that see, nor ears that hear. Now, the Israelites were going through a time where they were in the wilderness. They were there way too long. And the reason that they were there so long is because they were affected by their communication. They were grumbling and complaining. And they weren't, even though they saw all those miraculous signs, they saw the Red Sea parted. They saw stuff coming down from heaven, and they were able to eat it. They saw a rock being struck and water gushed out. And God was providing miraculously for them. And it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. They were grumbling and complaining. They had shoes that never got worn out. Like, what kind of, like, I wish I had shoes like that, right?
The truth?
And clothes that lasted for
they had
years.
it all. They really did. They really did.
They had everything that they needed and more. They were so blessed.
Yes.
But they couldn't see it.
No.
And so God could not give them minds that understood, eyes to see, and ears to hear.
Yes.
When my eyes are messed up, I text all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I realized like minutes later, that's not what I meant to say.
Yes.
It affects my communication. It affects the way that, I talk to people and the way that and then I perceive what they sent me. Like, I can't read it clearly. And so then I think they said something different.
Right.
And then that causes strife.
Yes, it does.
It could cause strife, and it could cause all kinds of resentment, animosity, because I'm using a different filter.
Right.
I don't have clear sight, and I'm not communicating properly.
Right.
It affects every aspect of your life.
It does.
So I want to ask you, what are you not seeing clearly today? I want you to ask yourself that. What are you not seeing clearly? Let's look at Matthew 13, verse 15. For the hearts of these people are hardened, and their ears cannot hear, and they have closed their eyes. So their eyes cannot see, and their ears cannot hear, and their hearts cannot understand, and they cannot turn to me and let me heal them. So without clear sight, and without clear hearing, and without a clear heart, they can't be healed. And this is Jesus talking. This is in Matthew 13, verse 15.
This is
in red letters.
It's in red letters. Yes.
So their hearts became hardened. Is your heart hardened today? Like, what has taken you to this place? Or do you know someone that you love that their heart has become hardened? And if your heart has become hardened, they can't see God. They can't hear God. They can't perceive the things of God.
Right.
And so, it's hard for us when we're in right standing with God to look at someone and judge them so quickly. But they're not living for God at that moment. And so we need to help them to soften their heart, to pray for them, obviously, to guide them, and to help them to be able to see and hear. Or maybe it's just ourselves. Going back to my personal eyesight, when I would look at my phone, and if I was looking at my phone for a long period of time, my eyes have a hard time adjusting when I look up to look far away.
Yes.
And so my eyes get tired, and it's hard to focus. And again, it gives me problems. Or if I'm looking away and then I look down, my perspective is changing constantly, and I'm not able to see the thing that I need to see.
Right.
Even when I'm at my couch and I'm looking at the television, sometimes I have not seen, how it'll say TVMA? And then I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like someone would read it to me. I didn't see the rating because I couldn't see it. And then now all of a sudden I've exposed my eyes to something that I didn't need to see.
Right.
Or all of a sudden there's just language and all this or something, violence, and I'm exposing myself to things that I don't need to see because I couldn't see clearly from the get-go.
Yes.
I have allowed things into my life that I didn't need to be a part of.
Right.
And so, it also, when your eyes are hurting, it causes a strain, right?
Yes.
It's a struggle. You're hurting, and when you're hurting, you can't see things clearly.
No.
My countenance changes when my eyes are hurting. I'm squinting all of the time. And when you're squinting, I only see a very small perspective. I can't see the big picture.
Right.
And God wants you to see the big picture today.
Yes,
He wants you to see His perspective, not your perspective. He wants you to open up your eyes and have eyes that see and ears that hear.
Yes.
Sometimes you're looking, but you're not seeing. Sometimes you're hearing, but you're not listening. And that's what God is saying. Wake up. I want you to hear, and I want you to see. Proverbs 29, verse 18 says, if people can't see what God is doing, they stumble all over themselves. But when they attend to what He reveals, they are more blessed. So God wants to reveal things, but you have to have eyes to see and ears to hear. And I know this is repetitive, and this might be really simple, but I know that this is what God told me to tell you. There's somebody that needs to hear this.
Yes.
Sometimes what you see is how you behave, and you may not just be seeing it clearly. You have to change your perspective on how you're seeing.
Always.
So when I went to the optometrist here recently, Laura, is that Laura?
Yes.
When I went to the optometrist, is that how you say it? And the eye doctor.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Yes.
When I went to see the eye doctor, I was like, I've always had transition lenses, so that's when my lenses are dark because I'm facing the light. And I was nervous because when I have my sunglasses on, I can't see clearly. And then he told me that sometimes those sunglasses are cheaply made and their optics are bad.
Yes.
And so it hit me hard, and I was like, okay, everything that God does, He does it in the supernatural, and then He does it in the natural. And that's why I'm talking to you about my personal walk with my sugar and my eyesight, because He's showing me revelation, and I'm trying to share that with you. So sometimes you have bad optics. Because of everything's been cheapened, and you don't see the value of things the way that God has created it. Maybe it's yourself. Maybe you're looking in the mirror and you have bad optics. You're using filters. Like I have, my sunglasses have a filter on it. Filters that are not proper, that are not the filter that God wants you to use.
Yes, exactly.
And so the filter can affect your vision. So Isaiah 5, verse 21. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and prudent, which means clever, in their own sight. So I want you to think about, do you think that you're wise in your own eyes? Because God doesn't see the way that we see.
No.
God doesn't hear the way that we
God.
hear. Yeah. Yeah, right?
Yes.
And but the Bible has, if you do a search on sight, vision, eyes, see, it's all over the Bible. And God says that His eyes are looking to and fro. He's back and forth. He's looking at everything, and He sees things. He sees everything that you do, first of all. He sees everything clearly. He knows exactly what it is without any filter. He knows. And so his eyes are looking to and fro. And He's saying, if you're looking within yourself and you think you're wise, woe to you. Woe to you. And that, I think, it should be an eye-opener and wake you up. Jesus said in John 9, verse 39, and this is the Message translation. Actually, I've read all kinds of different translations. I didn't say what they were. But I came into the world to bring everything into the clear light of day, making all the distinctions clear so that those who have never seen will see, and those who have made a great pretense of seeing will be exposed as blind. So I think He's talking about those people that are seeing within themselves, that thinking that they are all that in a bag of chips, that, they think that they're wise in their own eyes. And He's saying, I'm going to expose you as being blind because you have eyes, but you're not seeing. You're not understanding exactly what He's here to do. And so Jesus said, I came to bring everything to clear light of day. He wants us to open up our eyes and see clearly, not in that darkness, not in that state of stumbling about trying to figure out where you are, but clear light of day so that you could see things for what they really are. And then Luke 24, verse 31, it says, then their eyes were opened and they knew Him, and He vanished from their sight. So you can't know Jesus unless your eyes are open, unless you're looking. You can't know him. You can't have a relationship. You can't see the Father for a loving Father.
Right.
It's about how you're seeing him, your perspective, and what you're taking in.
Right.
So I have got these new glasses.
Me too.
She does too. Our daughters have new glasses.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've ever had new glasses or not, but it's amazing. Like, I was giddy. Like, I put them on, and she gave me this little chart, and I was like, oh, like, I could see. I could see. Like, oh my gosh. It was so exciting to me to actually be able to see and not be squinting, not having that narrow perspective, not hurting my eyes. But as I'm wearing these new glasses, it's a transition. So when you finally start seeing, it's a process, and you have to take it in slowly. And sometimes I have to take my glasses off to give my eyes rest.
Yes.
And I think that's what we have to do with our own bodies. Like, if we read a word and it penetrates our heart, we have to we have to rest on that a little bit.
Yes.
And then we have to move forward, and we have to read more, and we have to look better and hear better.
Yes.
And so I used to tell this to my kids all the time when they were little, especially my oldest. Protect your ear gates and your eye gates. You have to have gates, and you have to protect them.
Yes.
So imagine a big estate, and they're not going to let just anybody roll up in their house.
Nope.
You can't just come up in there.
No.
They have fences, and they have gates, and you have to have access. So what are you allowing access to come into your eye gates and into your ear gates? Because it affects your vision, and it affects what you hear.
Yes.
If you're listening to the voice of the enemy, if you're listening to voices of people, if that is what's motivating you, then he says you're going to have a hardened heart.
Yes. And you will.
You will. And so
Amen. Yes.
All right. So Proverbs 20 verse 12 says, ears to hear and eyes to see. So that's what I was saying. I kept hearing it, but then he says both are gifts from the Lord.
Yes.
God wants to gift you with true vision, true sight and hearing.
Yes.
Because you can hear. You could be in a room like in the lobby, like I'm talking about, when I'm trying to focus and I can't see clearly because all the motion and my eyesight is blurred. I can't focus on the details. There's a lot of noise, and it affects me, and I can't hear everything. And so when you're in a constant state of that, if you're living like that,
be careful what you allow in your spirit. Yes.
Exactly
right.
When you're living like that, you cannot hear the voice of God through all of the noise. And so it's so important and vital. That's why it's important to have a quiet time every day.
Yes.
That's important that you pray, that you read the word, because what you're hearing is going into your heart. What you're seeing is going into your heart, and your heart will become hardened if you do not have eyes that see and ears that hear. They're a gift from the Lord, and he wants to gift you with perfect sight.
Yes, he does.
And I didn't write this scripture down. I know it's in Habakkuk, but he says, it's talking about vision. Write the vision down and make it plain so that those will see it, they will run with it. And it actually says big block letters, so that there's no there's no error for reading it wrong. Like, everybody will be able to see it and run with it. And people die for the lack of vision. If you don't have correct vision. So it's so important to have the right sight. And then Matthew 13, verse 17, it says, I tell you the truth, many prophets and righteous people longed to see what you see, but they didn't see it. And they longed to hear what you hear, but they didn't hear it. Now, we didn't live in the day. We didn't see Jesus create all these miracles. We weren't there. But there are things that we do see, and there are things that we do hear in our life today, because Jesus is the same today, yesterday, and forever.
Yes.
And there are things that he's doing in our lives today. And we need to allow people to see that.
Yes.
Like, we keep talking every week about hoarding. Don't hoard Jesus.
Yes.
Don't hoard him.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that was exactly what I was getting her to say.
Were you going to say something else?
No, I was going to say the exact same thing. You can't hoard. You can't hoard the things that he's speaking to you.
Yeah.
You can't hoard it. Write them down. Whatever he is speaking to you today, write it down. Find a notebook. Pray over that. Pray for revelation.
Pray for revelation.
Yes, and it may not come immediately. Sometimes things that I write down that I wrote down months ago won't even come into place until now, or it's still in the future. But I write those things down because those things are important.
Yeah, they are.
And pray. Always.
Always.
Yes.
Because you know what? There are people that are around you that are longing to know the Lord.
Yes.
They're looking. They may not know that that's what they're longing for, but they have this hole and they have this bitterness, like we talked about with Mara. Naomi was her real name, but she wanted to be called Mara because she had all of this bitterness inside, and she was seeing things skewed.
Yes.
She wasn't seeing things in the right perspective because she just saw all of this hate and bitterness and anger, but it's stuff that she allowed into her life.
Right.
Like she gave access to that.
Sometimes we create our own storms.
Yeah.
We weren't meant to even go through that storm, but sometimes we create those things.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what we're talking about today. And so there's people that want to know him. And so we want to encourage you to have eyes that see, to have ears that hear.
Yes.
And so I want this to be your prayer. I have two scriptures. Psalm 119:18. I love Psalm 119. It is the longest book in the Bible. It's smack in the middle.
Yes.
And it's 22 22 paragraphs, like 8 verses long. And I like to do it usually as I'm getting ready for Easter, 22 days. Like it's a really great way if you ever want to fast or if you ever want to be in prayer about something, like that's a great thing to do. But Psalm 119 verse 18, open my eyes to see the wonderful truths in your instructions. That is a great prayer. And God blesses his word. And if you start speaking his word over your life, you're going to see miraculous changes. You're going to see things in a whole new way. If you're asking God, give me eyes to see, give me ears to hear.
Yes.
And if you're speaking, God, I just speak Psalm 119:18 over me. Open my eyes to see the wonderful truths in your instructions.
Yes.
He is going to do that.
He will. He will do it.
He's going to do it.
He will.
Yeah. And then the second one is Psalm 34:15. The eyes of the Lord watch over those who do right. His ears are open to their cries for help. You want God to answer your prayer? He's saying, open up your eyes and open up your ears.
Yes.
And so I hope that this spoke to you today. I hope that God is saying something. Vicky is saying something. I can't see what she said.
Yes, she said it may be a word God gives you to help you in the future. Important to write it down. Good words.
Yeah, that's right. And so I want you to let us know. Let us know what you think about this message.
Open my eyes, Lord. Yes. Pray that today over yourself today. Open my eyes, Lord. Open my ears, Lord.
Yes.
Help me to see you and know you more.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to pray. We have to pray these things over ourselves. We have to take these things to God because He will open your heart today.
Yeah.
He will open your eyes and your and help you to know things that He wants to speak to you today.
That's right. Because just to recap, like there are things that happen in your life, just like with Naomi. There are things that you caused to happen, the decisions that you made, relationships that you formed that you probably shouldn't have formed, or things that were spoken over you that you have no control over, things that were done to you, hurts, pains, habits. All of these things that happen in our lives, whether we do it to ourselves or are done to us, they affect how we see the world.
Right.
They affect how we see each other. They affect how we see God. And so you can't see things, he said, think that you're wise and see internally.
Yes.
You have to look externally, and you have to look to him. That is where your help comes from.
Yes.
And he says he wants to heal you, but your heart is hardened.
Yes.
So let's ask him, soften our hearts, God. Incline our hearts unto you and help us to have eyes that see. Help us to have ears that hear. And hear the truth, the word of the living God spoken into your heart and into your life so that then you can share it with others, because there's people that want to hear.
Yes.
They want to see God moving, and they want truth in their own life. And so it's up to us to share it.
And I think it's so important to ask God, show me your heart, Lord.
Yes.
Your heart.
break my heart for what breaks yours.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, break
Show
my heart.
me your heart, Lord. Because
Yeah.
if we start walking in that, we're going to start seeing things inside of people. You know, we're not going to look on the outside appearance. We're going to look at the inside.
Yeah. One of my greatest prayers is I'm like, God, not just give me eyes to see and give me ears to hear, but help me to see people the way that you see them.
Yes, I do too. Help me to love
Help
them.
me
I
to
say,
love the way that
yes,
you love.
Yes, I
Because-
pray that constantly. God,
Yeah.
help me to love my husband the way
Yes.
that you love him. Help me to
Yes.
love my daughter the way that you love her. Because we're all different. We
Yeah.
are all different. We all receive love differently.
And
but
it's easy to love the people that we love.
yes. Yeah.
But
love
what
your
about-
enemies. Yeah,
what
I
about
pray
the-
for my
yes.
enemies. I do.
I did the other day.
No, I do every day.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I'm like, I take it to
Yeah.
prayer. You know,
Yeah.
I was talking about in my class last night. I don't take it to my best friend. I don't take it to, you know, some other person. I take it to prayer. And that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We're supposed to take it immediately to prayer and allow God to take care of it. It's
Yeah.
in his hands anyway.
That's right. And the thing is, he is in ultimate control.
Yes.
He is the creator of all things. He has
Yes.
all of the answers. We think that we do, but we really
don't.
don't, and we really don't have control. We talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Relax,
Yes.
right? And so steep yourself in God initiatives, God reality, and God provisions. That's what
Yes.
he's requiring. Know who he is. Know the truth. See things the way that he sees them.
Yes.
And then do the things that he's doing.
And
like
that-
be in the work that he's
Yes,
about.
and it all ties together when
Yeah.
you do that.
And then
your
he says
words change.
And
the
then
way
he wants
you walk
to heal
changes.
you. He wants
Yes.
to heal you. He wants to bless you. He
Yes.
says, eyes that see and ears that hear are a gift
Yes.
from the Lord.
It is a gift.
So I pray that this was a blessing to you.
He said,
Oh, okay.
that is so hard to remember to do sometimes, but definitely helps. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the truth. None of this is easy.
I'm not saying
None of-
we have
none
not
of this is
perfected
easy.
it.
No,
But-
no. We anything that we talk about here is stuff that we're, you know, we're in this together.
Yes.
We're all in the same boat. Like I said,
Yeah.
you know, last week, rowing together. We are all
Yeah.
in this together. It's not easy, but we are created to do hard things. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
then if it was easy, we wouldn't rely on God.
Right.
Because we would rely on ourselves.
That's right, because we could do it.
Yeah. But we can't
Yeah.
do anything in
Yeah.
our own power.
His yoke is easy and his burden is light. He wants us to lean on him
Yes.
through the difficult things, through all
Yes.
of the trials and tribulations. He wants us to see things in his perspective
Yes.
and hear what he's trying to tell us. He's
Yes.
trying to guide us. He's trying to get us there to that next level, to that next step.
Daily
And
struggle,
it
yes,
is a daily
and it is
struggle.
real. It is so real. Yes.
It is. It is not easy.
It's every day.
But
yes.
you know, I hope that you're encouraged, and I hope that you're going to start. If you haven't already, pray these prayers.
Yes.
God, give me eyes to see, give me ears to hear,
Yes.
and soften my heart.
Mhm.
Soften my heart.
Yes.
And so, is there anything else that we have to say?
No. I mean, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. So again, like, share. If you just hopped on, catch the replay. Watch it from the
Yes.
beginning. I really felt this powerful that God wanted me to share this with you today, and I just hope that it spoke to you, and I hope that it will change your life. So
Yes.
have a great day.
Have a blessed weekend.
All right.